I mentioned in the unboxing video for my perfect grade Zakus that I was planning on stripping the chrome plating from the metal plated piston parts because I'm not super into how chrome looks at this scale. Certainly not this you know, out of the box chrome plating. It always looks, you know, inappropriate for scale. It just never looks right. It's too plasticky. So I put a question out in a couple of Facebook groups that I'm a member of, asking for some advice, and somebody linked me to an article I will post down below, recommending, and somebody linked me to an article. Someone had done kind of a analysis of a half a dozen different products that they had heard would work for stripping chrome in this way. Specifically for Gunpla, or Gundam modeling. They were doing the version 2 Master Grade Hyakushiki. They wanted to strip the chrome completely, and as it turns out, that model under all that chrome is actually transparent, which is kind of neat. But they tried a half a dozen different products like bleach and I can't remember what else off the top of my head, but only one of them on that list actually worked out. They were going to try something called Purple Power, which is a degreaser, which I've heard about, but is not available in my area. What they used instead of Purple Power was something called Zepp Commercial Fast 505, which I was able to get my hands on. So I'm going to give this a try, and you're going to watch. Alright, so let's give this a try. I'm not going to do the entire runner because that's a bit too much of a risk. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to kind of trim off a chunk from the end and throw that in there, and take some of my degreaser and just pour enough to cover it up into the container. And we're going to see what happens. Just a couple of millimeter thick layer of the stuff in there. And we're just going to leave this running for a while and see what happens. Now, as memory serves from reading the article, this took the person doing the experiment quite a long time. So, yeah, we're gonna kind of just leave it and go off and do something else for a while. But we're gonna see what kind of result we get out of this. So I've had the part sitting in the degreaser for about a half an hour. So far, not seeing a lot of action. The chrome, it's definitely duller. Alright, looking closely, I can see there's a few places where it's kind of starting to react, but it's quite likely this is going to take several hours. So, yeah, I'm probably just going to leave this until it's done, and maybe check in every little while to see how it's coming along. That's been a little over an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes or so, and it's starting to come along. You might be able to see it's kind of starting to chip a little bit there. It's starting to look a little bit black. It's slowly starting to break away. It's going to take a few more hours, so I'm just going to leave it, and I've got some errands to do, so I'm going to just let it sit here, and I'll get back to it in a while. See what we got. So it's been about 6 hours, maybe 5 hours. It is coming along, it's just taking a long time. There's a pretty good sized chunk that started to come loose on the end over here, but by and large it's still just very slow going, which is disappointing because the person that wrote the article that I used as a reference said that they got the entire bit done in like 7 hours, and this has been like 5, and it's less than half done. So I'm hoping that it starts to accelerate. But, you know, whatever. It is working. My concern is just that it's going to be harmful to the plastic, so that's why I chose to do, you know, a small portion. Because I'm probably going to end up having to leave this overnight. So it's been another couple of hours. It is slowly coming along. This is not by any means a fast process. I never expected it was going to be, but, you know, I kind of thought 6 or 7 hours later it was going to be, you know, at least getting there. So I rub my thumb along the surface. Like, I can feel it's kind of getting pockmarked. Like, the chrome is coming up. Like, you can very clearly see, like, there's some... There we go. You can see, like, it's really come up in a couple of places. And, like, there's a lot of pockmarks and a few more. But it's really taken its time. So, I am just going to leave this overnight, and hopefully I'll come back to it in the morning, and it will be done. Fingers are crossed. It's been about 18 hours. This is taking a lot longer than I was expecting. Yeah, I was led to believe that this would be clean and totally, just completely stripped within like 6 to 8 hours. That was what the article said. This is actually a huge disappointment. I mean, it's coming. Like, it's getting there. But it's really taking its time. It has been 18 hours approximately since I threw this part in there, and like you can still see there's plenty of big, large patches left. It doesn't appear to be harming the plastic, which was my big concern. Okay, as I run my finger over it, like there's chunks of chrome that are flaking off. So I could probably, if I gave it a good rub down, probably about 60 to 70% of what's left would probably come off. Like there's a big flake that came right off in my finger. But the fact that this is still taking as long as it is a huge disappointment. And even once it's done, I'm going to have to wash the parts and let them soak for a while. That said, I still don't really have an alternative. I mean, I could use like some brake cleaner or something, because I have done that before, and it works. It just, you know, I mean, I think whatever method you use is going to take a while, and yeah, so I'm a little disappointed that this is taking as long as it is. But like I said, it doesn't seem to be harming the plastic. You know, I run my finger along, and there doesn't seem to be any like pitting or scarring or damage. Even along where like the plastic was cut, where you'd think it'd be the most stressed and fragile, it seems to be fine. So I think, yeah, I think once it's done, I'll just scrub it with like a toothbrush, and that should get the plastic clean as it's going to get. But I think it's probably safe to say that it's safe. And it's not going to do any long-term damage to the plastic. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that this doesn't go haywire. In fact, no guts, no glory. This is both runners for both Zaku's. I'm going to leave it for 24 hours. This is pretty much an entire jug of this stuff. But I've labeled the lid so that I can keep it straight going to just go ahead and finish that one off just so I can see how long it's going to take. But I've got the container labeled, so I'm probably just going to keep this container for this purpose exclusively. But we'll see how long it's going to take. I know I've been crossing my fingers a lot, but hopefully they go a little bit quicker than this one has. I mean, hell, it could have been just a bad batch with the first Zaku. Maybe the second one even will go much faster, but we'll wait and see. In fact, I am going to put a stopwatch on my phone. And I'm going to leave it running until I come down here and I shut this off. It is 8:10 in the morning. I'm going to leave that stopwatch running until I come down here tomorrow morning and inspect and see how long it takes until there's no trace of chrome left on any of these parts. If it takes a day, if it takes 2 days, we'll see. Well, this is interesting. This is the runner from Shaw's Zaku, and you can see the chrome is lifting like crazy. This is the runner from the mass production Zaku. Not so much. I put them both in at exactly the same time, and very, very different results. This is really perplexing to me. Like, this one looks like it's going to be done in like a couple more hours. This one looks like it could take a couple days. As it is, there's like a couple little spots on the side here where the chrome is starting to lift, and the rest of it is virtually unchanged. There's a little bit more on the back here where it's starting to come up. But yeah, like 95% of the chrome appears to be unaffected so far, and here we're looking at like, okay, this side is not quite as much. But on the front side, we're talking like 60% of it has already started to flake up. So that is a pretty radical difference between the two. And the test part is probably about 90% clear of chrome at this point. So it's coming along. I'm curious whether or not this runner will be completely clear before this bit is completely clear. It's kind of, you know, a running race to see who gets there first. Yeah, considering this has only been in here for like 90 minutes, that is a pretty dramatic result. So, I don't know. I'm totally confused. I don't get it. Must have something to do with like different batches. I don't know. I'm confused. But yeah, maybe like the Shaw Zaku was produced longer ago and the chrome is in poorer condition. Maybe it was produced newer and it didn't have as much time to bond. Maybe, God, who knows? There could be a million different reasons why they could be different. But I'm going to just continue to leave them and see what happens. So it's been longer than I meant to leave these for without checking on them, but I was out for most of the afternoon. It's been about 10 hours since I dropped this last pair of runners into the degreaser, and this one is about close to 90% done. The front side is basically clear of chrome. Backside still got a bit left, so I'm going to leave this in there for a little while longer, but I'm going to flip it upside down, see if maybe that makes a difference. Because yeah, you can see still on the back of a lot of it, there's still quite a bit left. The test piece appears to be totally free of chrome, so I guess it wins, even though it had, you know, a 18-hour head start. So I'm going to leave that out. This one, this is going to take a while yet. There's still a long way to go. Most of the parts themselves have lost a lot on like the base of it, but the actual piston is still mostly chromed on most of them, so that's still going to take quite a while. Like, this will be done by morning. This might take until tomorrow afternoon before it's fully finished. So since this has already been, 10 hours, it's about 5:30 right now, and this one I started at like 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning. So yeah, it's only gone this far in most of a day. So gonna leave it, let it sit, and come back to it again before I go to bed, and then hopefully the one will be finished and the other one will be well on its way. So we'll see. So it's been about almost 13 hours. It's coming along. Yeah, this one's still got a lot of chrome left. It's very slow going. It's probably going to be well into tomorrow before it's actually done, which, is fine. I wasn't planning on taking both. Oh, some hair, I think. I wasn't planning on taking both of these Zakus up north with me this time around. I'm only going to take one. But the other one is very nearly done. There's just a very little bit left on the actual pistons themselves. The color plastic is really interesting. It kind of looks like it should glow in the dark. Like it's that same kind of color, that sickly, pale yellow. But yeah, I'm gonna have once it is done, I'm gonna have to wash this very, very thoroughly. But yeah, it's a very dramatic difference from one to the other. I can't get over how much different one is from the other. It's like maybe the process was a little bit different. Maybe on this one it was a little bit more thickly applied. I don't know. It's very fascinating to have two identical runners take such radically different amount of time for the exact same process under the exact same conditions. But yeah, something about the degreaser, it just eats away at this chrome. Like, there's not even flecks of chrome, material in the liquid, so it's just dissolving it. It's like it's acting like an acid, almost, but that only harms the metallic chrome color and not the plastic. So it's kind of fascinating. Also the bubbles. Yeah, so I'm pretty much done with this for now. I'm going to leave it until morning and see how it looks. The bottom runner should be done by then. The second runner hopefully will be much closer. With luck, it won't take much more than about 24 hours to finish off. So it's been just about 24 hours, and the second runner is just about done. Yeah, there's just a very little bit. It's probably about 90% clear. There's just a very, very little bit of chrome still on some of the piston parts. Like a little bit right there, a little bit right there. Like this part of all of them appears to be clear. Like the actual mounting point for all of them appears to be clear. It's just the cylinder, like the actual piston that goes inside the cylinder, that has any chrome left. The rest of it is all appears to be clear. So yeah, this one I'm going to leave in for a little bit longer, but the other one, I would say, appears to be totally finished. It's been a little under 24 hours since I put this in there, and it looks like every last trace of chrome is gone. I don't see anything left. At least nothing that's standing out to me instantly. So yeah, I am going to rinse this off with some soap and water. Make sure that I get all of the degreaser off of it. And this I'm going to leave for a few more hours. At the rate it's going, it should be done by around noon or so. Well, I would say that's pretty close to done. There's like some weird film. Huh. Maybe that's like the chrome itself, like came out as like a filmy material and is like stuck on the parts. I don't know, that's really strange. Yeah, like the last of it is kind of just like clinging to it as like a film. It just doesn't quite want to go away. Hopefully it'll rinse off. But it's overwhelmingly almost finished. Aside from that little bit of film here and there, there's like a little spot of chrome right there and a little spot on the other side. But I can't leave this any longer. I'm heading back up north tomorrow. So I've got to kind of pack everything away. I'm not going to leave this soaking for, 10 days. So I'm going to rinse it off, clean it up, and see what we got, because it actually looks like it's a little, like there's like jelly kind of consistency to it. Like, it's weird. I might have to scrub this. Like, I don't have an old toothbrush handy, but maybe I can just use this paper towel and just kind of scrub it and get the last of that off. Because yeah, this is, I don't know, this is like, it's a different factory or a different process or something, but like something is very, very different from this compared to the other one. That's really weird. Yeah, like, you can see there's a few places where it's just kind of gray and cloudy, and just this film is scraping off. It's very, very fine. That's really weird. That's really strange. But I'm going to go take care of that and see if it comes out okay. Because I really hope it does. So what in the hell was that film anyway? I took the parts into the bathroom and I scrubbed them and rinsed them. I got all of that residue off. For the most part. There's a few places where I just couldn't quite get at it with a scrubby sponge. I would have used an old toothbrush, except I don't have one at the moment. Because then at least I could have gotten deep into the crevices and try and broken up and loosened up what I could. But like, I don't know. Maybe it was like something to do with the chemical process. Maybe maybe over. I mean, it's been like 36 hours since I dropped these both into the degreaser, and about 2.5 days since I dropped the first test piece. Since I dropped this bit in there, which incidentally, I'm just noticing it's got a little bit of that film on it that I never noticed, and it just completely dried and hardened onto it. It came off with my thumbnail, but yeah. So I don't know. That's clearly. Something about this runner specifically and not this one, because there is none of that film to be found anywhere on this one. And I don't know. I'm absolutely stumped. I had a theory, but yeah, just going and checking this bit, which I did by itself for like an entire day before I put anything else in that stuff. Yeah, this runner had that film on it. So obviously it was something to do with this. Something was different about this than this. Even though they should be identical, They should have been produced in the same batch at roughly the same time at the same factory and applied chrome with the same process. Something about them was different. I don't know. I don't know. I'm completely stumped. I don't get it. But whatever. At least the process is done. There was a tiny little bit of chrome left on this piece right here. And I just took that off with a hobby knife blade. I just kind of scraped it lightly just to clean it off. Because I plan to paint these. Obviously, I'm not gonna leave the thing built with you know, simulated glow-in-the-dark pistons. The whole point of stripping the chrome was because chrome does not adhere well to paint. Yeah, so even if I were to apply a coat of primer, which I plan to, it would not adhere to the chrome very well. It would just flake off, especially since most of these are designed to go, in fact all of them are designed to fit into pistons with pretty tight tolerances. That chrome layer is pretty thick, and then add a layer of primer and, you know, gloss black and chrome paint on top of that, your tolerances are going to be even tighter. So you're going to have, you know, paint scraping off. So that on top of a pre-existing chrome, which, like I said, does not, it acts as like an adhesion denier, really. Like, you know, paint just does not bond to it. Myself, as you know, a fan of Transformers in the 90s, especially knows well, the Transmetal line, which was, you know, from 97 to 99 or so, where one of the key features of that toy line was that many of the toys had chrome-plated parts that flaked horribly. Like, the chrome itself is still durable as hell, like 20-odd years later. But whatever the clear color they applied over it, like in the case of Optimus Primal was blue, and Megatron was purple, Rat Trap was red, Tarantulas was orange. That clear coat over top that gives it that colored candy look, that's the stuff that flakes off. Because paint doesn't bond well to chrome. It just doesn't. So, that was the whole point of doing this little experiment. And, you know, for the ups and downs, for whatever the reason was with this part, it worked. There were a few places where that film seems to have clung to, and I just wasn't able to get rid of it with scrubbing, so I just kind of went in there with my hobby knife and just kind of picked out the little bits. It was mostly in like the recessed areas that a scrubby sponge or even a toothbrush probably wouldn't really have been able to get, and it can just kind of, you know, dig into, like, right around where it would connect to another part. Like this would be like the pin that would peg into another part. It would just kind of be in the little cracks there. You just go in with a hobby knife and just kind of pick at it and dig it out. And it's fine. And it's done. And it's fine. And whatever. It is what it is. I am going to take one of these with me up north. I am leaving tomorrow morning. I'm going to take... not the one that's been problematic, not the one that's been kind of funky. I'm going to take this one, the one that came off real nice. And that's going to be for my Zaku F-Type. I am going to assemble that one up north. And when I get back, then I'm going to strip the chrome off of my RX-78. And I'll probably do unboxing videos for the Zeta and Wing Zero, which I will shoot then and then release over the next couple of months, basically just so that I can get the chrome stripped on them as well. Because both of them have a lot of chrome too. And Wing Zero especially has some really weird chrome, like in the arms, that it's just, I don't know, it's not pistons, it's like linkages that it's weird that they'd be chromed at all. But anyway, once I get home and I have that Zaku built, I am going to strip it pretty much back down completely, and I will paint all of these pistons back to a chrome, because I do have some chrome paint. Yes, I do. Alclad 2-part chrome. Yeah, you hit it with a real high gloss black base, and this basically turns it into a mirror. I've done it on a couple of things before, and it looks fantastic, especially at scale. Because, yeah, like this kind of chrome just looks very much like plastic. That's the whole reason I did this, because I didn't want it looking like plastic and being ruined by just that one little bit. Because I do plan to paint both my Zog. Hell, I plan to paint all my perfect grade kits eventually. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.